What's up, and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 17. We're super excited to talk to you about Ranking of Kings. We got some unboxing. I know some people love those, and there's just cool stuff we're going to show you. And just other cool anime news in general. I'm Carrie Lane. Thank you so much for being here. If you're watching the live chat, join in. Watching it later, comment down below and going this way. The other half of this awesome team.
Wait a minute, where we go? I'm Katie Cullen. Hey guys. It's good to see everyone. Hello, humans.
Yay.
Who may or may not be in the chat. Hello, humans who may or may not be in the comments. I love you each individual in your own special way.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're here live or here later, we don't care either way. We're happy to have you.
Yeah.
We'll start with things we're excited about, because unboxings are things that I'm excited about. I'm like, I want to see the cool things. And you had something sent to you. Tell me about your box.
Yes, this.
So we're mature on this show too.
No. We are. Let's see. Anyway. How can I?
Yeah.
I have such a glare. It's hard to. You can kind of see it that way. It is the Sakura Co. box. It's got nice little foil highlights. It's so cute. I actually went out of my way to get this one. It is a tea and food themed box. It's like the next step up from a snack crate. This is we're going to put a little bit of class on this. Nice. And it's the March box. And they're like, it's all Sakura flavors. And I'm like, oh no. Oh, I need that in my life.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, was that an oh no good?
Oh no, that's very good. It's like oh, my language is being spoken. Oh, I need this. And if you open it up, it says, nice to meet you. Let's have tea. It has this beautiful little, I looked through this a little earlier. It has a booklet and it goes
fancy.
It goes left to right as well.
Oh,
and it gives you all of the food that's in there. It gives you history. It talks about the tea ceremony, and then it goes into the very specific ingredients and allergy information of the food. So
always helpful.
Yeah, and they're in this box, actually, they missed an allergen in one of these, and they put in an extra insert and sent me an email saying, hey, we missed an allergen in this one. It's this specific product and this allergen. We're so sorry. We wanted to make sure you knew. And I'm like, that's incredible. That is such good customer service.
Yes.
But you can see all of these wonderful things we have in here. They have snacks. We have a little Sakura bun. They sent me chopsticks.
Oh, cute.
This is a little glass Sakura themed teacup. One of those little ones. Every single one comes with like glassware or plateware or something really cute. There's Sakura jelly in there. There's a little cake. There's tea hiding in there. There is just so much stuff. And I'm trying not to like have the crinkle show up on my mic, but
we're an ASMR show too.
Yeah, we're an ASMR crinkle. Yeah, they pack this box full. It is well worth it, and I will definitely be doing like little videos and pictures of the spread, because I wanted to make sure that everyone could see how nicely it was packed and how beautiful everything is before I sat down and tore into it. Because I love Sakura flavored stuff, you guys. I have been to Japan exactly once in my life, and it was in late March. Just at the end of there it goes, just at the end of Sakura season, and they had white mochi with Sakura filling. They had these beautiful, like tiny little wafer thin Sakura cookies. Just everything was Sakura, and I went a little nuts. And that was like 8 years ago. So at some point, I am going to go back to Japan during Sakura season and go a little nuts again. But until then, Sakura Co. has me covered with this beautiful, beautiful little box. And I mean, again, this thing it's just so cute. If you can see all the little details, the gold leaf, the patterning.
Embossing. It's like shiny.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a beautiful box.
Nice.
But yeah, so there will definitely be an update once I am able to dig into that, but I am very excited.
Yes. Very cool. So go check them out online.
They are
sending, we like getting things from other places, and the boxes are such a great way to do that.
You might also be a little more familiar with same company, different crate, Tokyo Treat, which is a little more like your Japan crate in the Japanese snack foods theme. So Yeah, this is one of those companies that has a bunch of different crates under the umbrella, and Sakurako is the tea service and pastry one. And so that's the one where the Instagram algorithm read me for filth and I fell for it. I'm very excited though.
You're like, yes, sign me up.
Instagram's like, hey, so we saw those pictures you posted like 7 years ago around this time, and we found something to match them. And I'm like, you're scaring me, but you're right.
That's cool though. Well, that's nice
yeah.
when it's actually spot on. I've seen it maybe a couple times where I've seen something advertised and I'm like, you almost got me, but no, not this time. But it's nice when it is actually something you would want. So nice.
Yeah.
Yay. Other things excited. So coming out, I got my nice little info thing to make sure I got all the deets. So yes, we've already talked about it quite a few times, but in case you don't know, new Jujutsu Kaisen movie, it's Jujutsu Kaisen 0, comes out on March 18th, and Crunchyroll
next week.
Very soon.
Next week.
Crunchyroll sent me a box. I already opened it, so it's a little awkward there. But the really cool thing that I was also really excited is, one, we get it has the manga. So I was super excited to check that out. So in case you don't know the story yet, you could read it before you go watch it. I haven't read through it yet. I'm curious to read through it and see how much it follows along to the movie, or how much the movie follows the manga, or vice versa, like what kind of changes are made. And then the other bit that's super exciting, get our own Gojo.
Woo! Nice. Very nice.
If I can get that to show you all. Yes. One of our other best boys, if you haven't watched Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm like, yay, so exciting. So this film is a prequel to the series. You don't need to have seen the series before you see the film. And if you have seen the series and then go into the film, there's some stuff you'll appreciate, which stay tuned for our more full review on that. And so, yeah, just check them out. You can go watch the series over on Crunchyroll, and Funimation, I think, has it over there too. I'm like, that's the other big news too. The libraries are merging. So I'm like, well, I know I watched it on Crunchyroll, and I'm like, but it's merging with Funimation. So it's like, a lot of process of. So the libraries have converged. If you are like, wait, what's going on? So Funimation won't be having new stuff. The stuff that exists is still there. So you're going to want to hop over to Crunchyroll if you want new stuff. And you should be getting an email if you already have a Funimation subscription that they'll be like, by the way, you can go set up on Crunchyroll. And then Crunchyroll is doing like a 60-day free trial to get you to check it out. And I'm excited because I love what's on Funimation, but I have a lot of older stuff that I've enjoyed over on Crunchyroll. So I'm like, the best of both worlds. I'm super excited. But
if you follow, excuse me, if you follow Lauren Moore on Instagram, she is one of the content people for Funny and now Crunchy, and she is a lovely human being. I'm very biased, but she's wonderful. But she has been doing a lot of stuff about the integration and information on what's going where. The big thing that stuck with me is she did a video on like 6 big series that have moved, and Yu Yu Hakusho has moved off of Funimation onto Crunchyroll, which is kind of a big deal. I was in the middle of that.
You're like, wait a minute.
But yeah. And also, if like me, you were a Verve subscriber, you have probably also received the email and the offer for 60 free days premium on Crunchyroll. So we'll be switching over. It's going to make life a little interesting in terms of which of my subscriptions go where and are doing what. But yeah, the mergers are always... Mergers are always really interesting. They tend to turn out okay once the dust has settled, but the dust has not yet settled yet. So for everyone going, where's my anime? Which one can I do it on? Do I need both accounts? Follow the official accounts, check the FAQ sections, and, hang on. It'll all be figured out soon enough.
Yes. And then I would just double check and make sure I had all the things. So reiterating, and again, but Jujutsu Kaisen 0 releases in theaters March 18th, sub and dub. So if you like dub, guess what? It's going to be available. If you like sub, that's also available. Make sure to check your local listing if for a theater near you. And then, they point out, you don't need to be caught up with the manga or the series to enjoy the movie. So that's also the great way to bring your friends in of like, hey, I've been watching this show, come watch it. And so, follow Crunchyroll on all the social media for exclusive content and more info. And they're doing the hashtag JJK0movie. So follow that for up-to-date stuff. So, we're excited.
You are going to pull me into this, aren't you?
Possibly. But, it's not too long because fair enough with the kind of like shonen stories, it can be a little daunting of like, another one.
Yep.
But as a series, I really was impressed with. There are maybe elements that felt familiar to other shows I like, but I felt like they had some unique takes on how they're approaching different things. I'm like not wanting to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't done stuff. But it's the action's amazing. It has a little bit in the horror genre, but not too much that if you don't like that, it's not too overwhelming. And it's just like a really fun show, and the animation's gorgeous. And then we got another comment in the chat. Tengen points out, well, by the end of March, 80% of Funimation will be over on Crunchyroll, and the rest will follow later. So it's already started that rollout. So go check them out. Also, it's a great way to dip into some older shows, which is
Sony out here ruling the anime world.
Yes. Well, in the end, we don't care. We just want access to our anime. It's like, what? Just tell us where to go.
You say, no, we care.
Well,
I'm going to file this under we care about working conditions.
Yes.
That's where I am in terms of we care.
We don't care in the terms of like, if I had to watch it on like Netflix or HBO, whatever, I don't mind. Just tell me which way do I go to go get the shows I want.
Consolidation is good. That was initially what we were going for before God and everyone decided they needed their own streaming platform.
Tengen says Jujutsu Kaisen is like Yu Yu Hakusho crossed with Bleach. Yes.
I need you to understand that I gave up on Bleach.
I mean, well, same. I got into Bleach a bit and then I fell off because I'm like, it's just too long.
I enjoyed it, but once we got about 6 volumes into the Soul Society arc and there at the end was not in sight, I went, oh boy.
Much more condensed than that. I'll have to think of what other stuff it reminds me of, but yeah.
I think most modern anime have learned from the behemoths of the 90s and early to mid 2000s.
When you have hundreds of episodes, calm down.
This is the point where I just gesture loudly at Dragon Ball Z and go, we've also learned in terms of filler. And also at Naruto, where I believe it started outstripping the manga, and so they had to backfill.
Tengen feels it doesn't have all the filler of Bleach. So fair.
Like I said, I think modern anime has learned, and I think they've also learned. I think Naruto was the floods of filler. I think Naruto at the time was doing episodes weekly, and therefore when it outstripped the anime, it had to spin its wheels to stay in production, waiting for the manga to catch up. And I appreciate that Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia, and again, the really large shonen vehicles that we have nowadays, do a season and then wait for the manga to go for a bit. Like, and then they go, here's the arc. Here's where we can rearrange things if we need to. Here's how we can tighten it up a little bit. All right, let's do another season. Like, we don't need a new episode every week. Just give us the good shit. We don't want to wait 15 episodes for Namek to blow up in 5 minutes. Like, come on.
Yes. Other thing we're excited about, which in case you missed it, check out our last week's episode where we had Amari on. Amari Speaks is his username. Our apparently the zaddy of all the voices.
Yes.
Apparently does a lot of those voices. Yeah, it was super funny. So go check that out at the beginning of our last episode. And then Back Tengen points out, there's very few long-running shonen anymore, except the old stalwarts like One Piece and Naruto and Boruto. Fair. All right.
I would file My Hero and Jujutsu Kaisen. We're talking about long-running things that run in Shonen Jump.
Yeah, My Hero is definitely still going. Jujutsu's pretty early on. I'm like, I think it's only like 20 something up. Like, it's not that long for the first season. So, but we're
what
waiting
I'm saying
for
is,
more.
It looks like it's got legs. It's
Oh,
one
yeah,
of those
probably.
where
Yeah.
if you've done enough long-running shonen anime, you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
Like, is this a thoroughbred or is it a pony? That looks like a thoroughbred. He's got legs. It's gonna go for a bit.
Yeah.
And there's nothing
Well,
wrong with that.
and if
I
it's
just
good
can't do it.
content, that's fair too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of new shows and things, so spring anime is coming out soon. So be on the lookout. We'll be touching on that when that comes out, which is soon. But in the
Equal
meantime,
parts excited and God help us. There's
Yes.
not enough time for all the anime in the world.
yes. Which speaking of the new shows, of catching up on that, I'm glad finally that we're watching Ranking of Kings
Oh yeah.
because that was one so popular and it's holding up, which I'm glad because you hear about an anime, you're like, it's so good. Da, da, da. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not, or it's not your thing, which is okay. But I am so much loving this show. Katie, what about you?
This show is insane. I
Your
love
tweet
this.
was so funny too.
It is like weirdly edged Miyazaki, and I love it so much. And
Yes.
it's especially these 2 episodes. Like, I'm
Mhm.
very glad. Like I said, if you follow me on Twitter, you saw me kind of go a little nuts last night because I got my roommate watching it with me and catching up. So we actually kind of did a little 4-episode sprint to get her caught up. And I'm really glad that episode 2 ended the way it did, which is what
Yeah.
got us to do
It's kinda
2
like-
episodes at a time.
Mhm.
Because with everything that they fit in these 2 episodes, we would not have been able to do 3. There is too much. It
Yeah.
just, the show is very, very good at, so here's where we are. Here's what we're doing. And you're like, okay. And the show's like, you got that? And you're like, okay. And the show's like, okay, so here's a 4-minute flashback about this character and their relationship to Boji that changes everything. You got that? And you're like,
I was gonna say, speaking of that, I'm so glad they had that
Twice.
mom flashback because
yes.
also this is an example of a show that I'm like, yes, it's when you, the audience, think, hey, we need this, or you think something needs to happen, and then it does. That's such good timing because I felt that way of, ooh, I need some more context with the mom.
Yeah.
I'd really like to know some more about her because I don't want her to be some one-dimensional evil villain mom. And then we go, oh, okay.
By the way,
Nice.
turns
Like,
out she
okay.
tried really, really
And
hard to be a
superpowered
good
mom.
stepmom and to bond with Boji, and also she's a
Yep.
healer. And I'm like, okay, I am immediately more interested.
Yes.
I definitely like healer characters. People who know me and know my character type are like, oh, the soft boys and or the long-haired pretty boys. Sometimes that Venn diagram overlap is a circle. Like, yes, this is
Mhm.
what I'm into. So just be like, oh, I'm immediately more interested. And then the next episode, we have 4 minutes of Doma and his whole thing. And just like, oh my God.
Oh, and his
And-
dream. So I'm like, so wait a minute. Does that
No,
mean
Dida's dream.
Dida? So wait, who?
I know, right? I need a list of names.
Oh.
I was going to make one and then I didn't.
I was like, wait, who?
Like,
Then who did you mean? The mom?
Doma, the swordsman.
Yes. Oh, ooh, he's on my list now.
I'm so
and-
happy. I'm so fucking happy.
Wait, why?
So
are
yeah,
you
talking
happy?
about this afterwards with Megan, and she's like, "Yeah, this is why they had that conversation about duty and following orders earlier."
Oh,
Like,
100%. I'm like, I
okay.
don't trust that mofo at all anymore.
and also Kage read him for filth in episode 2.
Yes.
Oh, I've seen guys like that. You can't trust that type. And I'm like, okay, but he's
Mhm.
he's kind of what I'm like, okay, just yeet a boy into hell. And it's only episode 4, so we know it's not going to take.
Oh,
but
yeah. It's one of those. I'm like, I know he ain't gonna die, but I want to know how he survives.
It says something. And again, this is I'm reusing my Twitter joke because I'm very proud of it. It says something when you can say, yes, in this episode, Boji fell down a punji pit, met a feral king with a mean two-step, and saw the Soul Hoover. And not only is that about 4 minutes of screen time, but it's also not the most important thing that happens in this episode. Any other anime, that could be an entire episode. And this
Mhm.
one's just like, I hope you enjoyed that 4-minute deviation and that look into the life of the king of boars or whatever he was. The subtitles didn't give him a name.
Yeah, I was kind of
So-
wondering. And then that
Like, who
tied
is that guy?
into-
He's a weird NPC encounter that the devs left in. That's what he is.
Well, is he one of the kings that went mad? You like that little
Maybe.
flashback that the king, they're like, by the way, they do the rankings and those suck. And then they get something cool and either they kill themselves or like they'll go crazy. And you're just like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
It's
What?
the number one ranked king gets to take an item out of the holy vault or the divine vault or whatever it was. And every time, every king picks the same thing and they either go nuts or disappear. And I'm sitting here making jokes about, I'd been meaning to take the Tome of Madness out of that vault. Boy, I hope those kings aren't picking it. Oh.
Well, that makes long range prediction. I'm thinking this is why Boji's going to be different is he won't pick that because of who he is and he's different, which also quick side note. I was rewatching the trailer for A Silent Voice because I was telling a friend about it. Amazing movie with a deaf character as a lead, which we mentioned before. And they did like this kind of gesture and like for friend. And that was in Ranking of Kings of like the guy that we thought was a bad guy, swordsman at the castle, Snake Man, our snake charmer dude. And he's like, oh, is Kage your friend? And he did this gesture. So I'm like, okay. Because we were wondering it makes sense that it would be Japanese sign language instead of them making something up. But that was kind of cool to see in two independent things of like, oh, I recognize that. Okay, that's like friend. That's your friend, which makes sense of like you're holding hands. So I'm like, oh, cute.
I love this.
Yes.
I love it so much.
Also, wait,
I
snake
also
thing.
think,
Like
before we go on to Snake Guy, I want to talk about the vault for a minute here.
Yes.
Because for one, I love worlds with shitty gods. I love Ruby. I Banished from the Heroes Party kind of let me down at the end there, but I still enjoy the world building. So I kind of think we're looking at another world with a shitty god here. I also think, and this is one of those like, put it on the board predictions. On the board back here. I'm very bad at spacing. Predictions. Has seen Scrapped Princess, but I'm betting right now that this is a Scrapped Princess situation. And I'm not going to elaborate on that particular bit because if you haven't seen Scrapped Princess, you should. It's great. But I think what we're looking at here in terms of what the kings pick from the vault is knowledge of the world or omniscience or something where it's like man was not meant to know this or man was not meant to understand. Like there's something hinky about this world and not knowing about it is what makes things work. And when they become aware, they can't handle it. And that's why they either go nuts or just fuck off entirely. So that's my guess in terms of what the specifics are for what is hinky about this world. Again, I think it's a Scrap Princess twist and just put that on the board. And seriously, though, don't Google it. Just watch Scrap Princess. It's 26 episodes of your life and it's a good time. Yeah, admittedly, the last time I saw it was 20 years ago. So I may need to go and revisit that. Not 20 years ago, high school. So 15.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at something weird in the world building because we also have so many completely buck wild, disparate aspects. We have ogres, we have the Shadow Clan who just have the little flat bodies. We have, we have giants, we have demons, and a hole that leads to the netherworld. Like, my prediction is there is something going on here. Hello, Giga Derek. Have you seen Scrap Princess? You kind of get where I'm coming from here?
It's so good.
I'm thinking that might be it.
I was going to say,
confirm.
Because my quick turn was to bring my other co-star on the show. Hello, baby. Hi.
The boy.
The baby.
The popper.
Hi, baby. Go. Hello. This is Fizz Gig. If people haven't seen Fizz Gig yet, hello.
It's a Fizz Gig break.
Yes. Okay. Because she was like, excuse me. Giga Derek says yes for Scrap.
Yes. Yeah, so you know what I mean when I talk about a Scrap Princess twist. Like, that's what I think's going on here. So, put a pin in that. And then if it is, I will have spoiled Scrap Princess for everybody.
I don't know that reference, but I do think that's a good point that there could be more going on than they know about. And I think Boji's unique perspective on life. Yes. My dog was coughing. She's all,
I can hear it in the mic.
she's like, excuse me.
Hello.
I think either his perspective, because he's deaf and just his life experiences will cause him to make a different choice, or also him going on a quest like he's doing now, I think is going to help him grow as a character far more than his brother would. So it's like, no, getting out and seeing the world and meeting other people and experiences, because we've learned he's very intelligent, he's very compassionate, but exposing him to other people, situations, and like lifestyles. Because even, did you remember too, when they were in that one town, the soldiers that were with him were kind of like, oh wow, this area is really prosperous. They seemed to be like surprised someone else was doing well. And I was like, okay, that was an interesting aside to have. But
it's also
we'll
like
see.
a hella small kingdom.
Yeah, it was something else somewhere else, and they have the different kings and everything. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And so yeah, the other random interesting thing, snakes. Oh my goodness, giant one in some underground.
That was a hydra.
Yes, I was like, wait a minute, why are there, well, the little ones, and then he finds the big one, and he had helped it when he was a kid, and his mom did too.
Yeah.
Or his stepmom, but yeah. Well, because he cried, but still.
Yeah, but Boji out here befriending a hydra, like,
yeah, you know,
sure,
no big,
might as well.
Fine. Let me pull the little sticks out of you and help you. And poor mom, like, football kicked him across the yard, but punted him.
Well, because Hydra was initially fighting Boji, so like, fair, absolutely fair.
Boji's so pure of like, no, please help him.
No,
like,
it's hurt. Please help the baby. It's like, oh, and now there's a Hydra underground that's like, yeah, Boji is my man, and I also have loyalties to Snake Guy, so I gotta balance that. But like, he's telling the truth.
Yeah,
Kage did go on a trip, and no, seriously, you're loved and we love you.
Yes, and he points, and the Hydra points out how many people love Boji. If like there's more people in your corner than you think. So then I'm like, okay.
I don't think Boji knew about the 2 people voting for him, because like, who knows about
only the people there.
Moot. Yeah, only the people there, and then evidently other people. Fucking Daida. We have to talk about Daida at some point.
Go for it.
Well, after we finish talking about Snake Guy, he's not dead. There's no way he's dead. I'm pretty sure the snakes took him underground and took him to go get medical intervention. Like,
I was like, no. I was like, which one's Daida again?
The prince.
Oh, I thought his brother was. It didn't say. Yeah. Anyway.
No, Daida's the prince, and he. It's interesting to me that the queen does not know about the magic mirror and is worried about how Daida's acting and what he's doing. But his mentor, like Snake Guy, knows about the magic mirror and is going, this isn't something that Daida would have done on his own. That the mirror is putting these thoughts in his head. He would never have called for these people's deaths otherwise. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And that also made me, speaking of their names, here we go. It was Apis and Bebin. Bebin. So Bebin, that's our one that, it's only a small taste of how good the animation can look on this show. That's true. They don't have a lot of fighting just yet.
But the Sakuga was amazing.
Yeah. So Bebin, I did not trust him before, and now I'm kind of like,
Where's your 4-minute flashback that changes everything we know about you?
And our spearman.
Because that's what it is.
Appius.
That was Appius.
Appius. I like him. That I'm like, good. I'm glad you're okay. And he's like, you're not going to kill me. And but yeah, I don't think our snake dude's dead. No. Something magical.
Appius strikes me as do no unnecessary harm, but take no shit.
Yes.
So
and also a full supporter of Boji too.
Yeah. So I think he'll be an interesting one to have around.
And then our dude that I'm like, my brain's just failing me today on names. And I like that the queen's like, what's your name again? It's like Hikare or
our little guard.
Yes.
The guy who's been in it to win it for Boji from the get-go. Like, it's the boy. Oh, he's pulling squire duties. I love this so much.
And I love that he too was like, would you do something? And he's kind of like, depends. I'm like, thank you. He's not like, I'm just gonna do something crazy or kill somebody. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Hokuro. Okay.
Hokuro. I was like, it was an H name and I couldn't remember Hokuro.
I'm bad
was
at
like,
names.
yes, I'm so glad he's. Well, it's also the very beginning. We still their names have not been solidified a lot. Oh yay, we have another new person in the chat. Prince says,
Hello.
Hokuro. I love Hokuro. He is so sweet. Absolutely.
Hokuro is a
good boy. Yes. And I was so excited to have him be part of it. I'm like, yes, a guy who's on his team. Yeah.
And it's nice to have a little bit of balancing because obviously he's not as worldly as Doma. Obviously he hasn't figured stuff out yet. And also, very obviously, he has no idea how slippery Boji can be. Boji's just like, lol, bye. And Hokuro's like, what?
Oh, okay, what's kind of weird is backpack was stolen and then returned with everything in it. Essentially. Or left with everything in it. Not like ransacked. Like that would make more sense if they found it and everything was like strewn about as somebody would like looking through, but it was kind of like, let me just put it all back. Like,
I mean, we don't know where Kage is.
True.
So that's my guess for that one, is that he is working in the shadows, if you will, and did not make himself known because he made it very clear he does not trust Doma, which, he is right.
Yes.
I will never get over, because it's like, oh yes, here's the pits of hell. And I'm like, my first joke was like, oh yeah, Boji's going to jump in. He just keeps falling into things to be great. Really? I was not expecting.
No, I totally was like,
I was joking, like, yeah, he's going in the pit. And I was like, oh shit, he's going in the pit.
I didn't trust Doma at all. As soon as he had the, like, would you do anything that your boss told you to? Which I'm like, that's a really good, like, philosophical debate too, of would you do what you're told to do if it's not something good?
Coupled with
do the right thing. And
coupled with the knowledge that Daida put out a hit on Boji.
Yes. Yeah, so there was those two red flags. And then as he's like, let's go look at the pit. And I'm like, and then they get closer and closer. And I'm like, he's going to push him in. And so it was like, bloop. And it was almost comedic, though.
It was just yeet. That's the fun. So
another thing, though, how would we... Tengen says Bebin did send Kage off an important mission. True.
Yeah.
So I do trust Bebin a little bit more now. Maybe.
Yeah. A little bit. I mean, the Hydra trusts him. We don't know why.
Yeah.
And I know the Hydra has a name and it's like 4 syllables and starts with an M. The subtitles gave me the name.
Yes, but it went by pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I just want to know how he survives it. Oh, but you know what? His falling out of the tower...
Oh my god. I can't stop making Game of Thrones jokes. It was like, oh no, the things I do for love. Yikes!
Yeah, he starts to climb out, and then at first I was like, all right, cool. I get it. That's fine. But I'm like, that's way too high. There's no way he would make it safely to the ground. Like, dude, what's your plan? And that was the moment that I appreciated, that his mom was like, and freaked out after him. I was like, okay, look at your instincts.
Yeah.
But
that's like, no plan. Go nuts.
Mitsumata, yes. And then
there's
Prince
a reason I didn't remember it.
The worst thing is that we start to associate Domas as someone who cares and wants to be there for Boji, and then he absolutely goes off the deep end by the end of episode 4. Yes. Though, you know what? His laughing thing, his laugh, and then
that was hysteria. That was, he's not okay.
Yeah,
he's not doing okay. It was loyalty to the king at the cost of himself.
Because he goes, hey, there's stuff that they do that we don't understand. I'm like, that doesn't make it okay, though. But I think per his understanding, like, it's one of those, like, you know, as an actor, they would have to justify what was that choice process. So I think in his heart of hearts, he's like, I don't understand this, but this is what my king, my liege has said. And those are the people who know more than I do. So I will follow it. But it breaks him. I just want to know how he comes back out of this. You know, because Boji, when Boji gets out, is going to be like,
excuse me, what the fuck?
I don't know if I want to hang out with you anymore.
Well, and it also helped that we got his 4-minute flashback in this episode, in between, you know, the Punji Pit and the Soul Hoover, which I will never get over. The Soul Hoover. You want to talk Miyazaki? That. Yes. Toma has one brain cell and it's devoted to the kingdom.
Yes,
I mean, when you're right, you're right. But also, when you are... I have more like modern military parallels for this. I grew up in a military family. You see, people go through basic, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of having someone who is trained to fight for you is like, that's what they do. That is a very
Mm-hmm.
large part of their identity after they come out the other side of training. And
Mm-hmm.
we saw in Doma's flashback, like, he based his swordsmanship on the king. He doesn't have the same body type or stopping power, but he's very much working with the same style of, like, I have a lot of bulk
Force.
behind me. I want a
Mm-hmm.
lot of range. This is how it works. Which is why it didn't work with Boji, because that is an extremely different fighting type. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, he should
Mm-hmm.
probably be learning from Bebin. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So I can see, like, you base so much on this. You do loyalty to the king. You know that the king wanted Boji to be his heir. But then also,
Yes.
a demon came out of the king when he
Yes.
died and laughed at Boji. Again, this show is
Yes.
nuts. This show is insane. I love it.
So
It's so weird.
was the
So
demon a thing inside of the king killing him?
that was my
Or
roommate's theory, is that he
okay.
wasn't sick, that the demon got him, and
Yeah.
now Boji's in hell. So I wonder
I'd
if he's
go
going to
with,
run into him there.
well, I think that whatever it was inside the king, clearly.
Mhm.
I mean, it literally came out of him.
Mhm.
It's possible that that demon thing is the thing that was killing the king and
Yeah,
ultimately killed him.
I
And
think so
then
too.
once he's come out and he knows who this king's successor is, of like, that's it. All right, I'm gonna peace out. I don't even need to work that hard to take over next time. I'll be back, or something. So it was interesting and yeah, super weird and bizarre.
Yeah. Like, at this point, the weird thing is, how old is Boji? Like, it's impossible to tell. If
Yes,
we knew
because
how old Daida was, we'd have a metric. But Daida also strikes me as like 13, maybe.
right, I go with well, Daida could be like
He could be like
the
9.
10. Yeah, I'd go maybe Daida's more than 9 to 10 and Boji's like the 11 to 12, because Boji was definitely still like toddler looking when Daida was born.
He's still
So
toddler looking now.
yeah, but he looked more so before. But I think he's just going to age differently because his dad was a giant and his mom,
Was
we haven't
also
really
a giant.
seen. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think it's just a much slower aging process.
We don't
It's so
know
much mass he has to grow, so it
anything.
takes longer.
We don't know anything about any of that.
Yeah.
Like, no idea.
Yeah.
But
We'll have
yeah,
to find out as we go.
it's all wild. But
Yeah.
I wound up looking up the voice cast halfway through
Yeah.
this, and the ones that stuck in my mind are Kage is voiced by Sungwon Cho, or ProZD, as you might know him on YouTube. And it's like, once you know that, you can hear it. The other one for me, well, one, I like, okay, I hear this in the voice, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that Justin Briner is Daida? Because there's one point where he starts yelling, and I'm like, that sounds like really upset Deku. Wait a minute. It's like, oh, it is. So when he started doing I'm going to be number 1 on the ranking of kings, I'm like, you going to be the number 1 hero? You going to be, is that what we're doing?
Well, also,
but the
I
one
don't.
that I want to,
Yeah,
go ahead. Oh, the one that I want to, Doma is voiced by AJ Locascio, who is a great voice actor. I don't want to be like most known for, but honestly, the role that he is probably most currently known for is Lotor from Voltron. So he is very, very good at like the classy voice, and he is also very, very good at the razor's edge sanity wobbling laugh. And so for the most part, it's like, yeah, I can hear him. Yeah, I can hear him. And then that happened, and I'm like, and there's the Lotor in it. Amazing. He is doing a bang up job. But that's just one of those like, oh.
Okay, so Tengen agrees with us. It's probably safe to say Boji is like about 12, so it's just young boy shonen, true, which makes Daida about 9 to 10. So yeah,
Okay.
that seems about right, because it's also
extremely big Joffrey Baratheon vibes.
Also, they're just so young to ascend to the throne that, like, if they were more like 16 to 18, they would be young. but not children. So this
Yeah.
is like, oh no, you're even less than that
Yeah.
point. You're even
It's like, oh, you
lower on
are
that totem
a
pole.
baby.
You are children. Yes.
I think that also makes a lot of sense for how and why Daida is being led around by the nose,
Yes.
by the mirror. Yeah, Giga Derek, classic voice, treacherous characters. When you're right, you're right. I love it.
Yeah. Though I did think it was interesting that Daida's dream had his brother protecting him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. So is your subconscious actually like not as shitty as your character when you're awake? Maybe.
And his mom going, don't open Pandora's box. And the mirror going,
Yes.
open Pandora's box. And him going, okay.
And also, what did this mirror do for him that he goes, yes, I will 100% trust you, weird thing in the mirror. Okay.
It probably
no problem.
tells him what he wants to hear.
Probably.
I'm pretty
And get
sure
power.
whatever's in the mirror is the same stuff that came out of Pandora's box. And if you go
Yes.
back to, the original Greek, it's Pandora's box contained every terrible thing in the world. It contained disease and famine and just like all of the awful and old age, all of the awful shit that humans go through. It was contained in that box and given to Pandora, and she was tasked with not opening it. And sometimes it's her that her curiosity gets the better of her. Sometimes it's a family member or a lover or whomever that says, okay, but you should really open that though. And peer pressure that does it. But she opens the box regardless and lets out all of the awful things. And then, depending on your telling, slams the box shut on the last one. And the last one was the death of hope. So everything else got let out. But because she managed to catch that last one, there is still hope for humanity. So,
which the thing said, Boji is hope.
Yep.
Ding,
You can't really have a Pandora's box narrative without talking about hope, because that is that last bit. That is the contrast to you let out all this awful shit, but it actually could still be worse. Wow, what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Oh, I've seen the Pandora's unboxing video jokes, and those make me really happy. Yeah, so I appreciate that we had don't open the box. Open the box. So we open the box, and then yes, this is your little brother. He's Hope. And upon waking up, instead of going, maybe I should call off the assassination attempt, he goes, I need my father's strength. I'm like, is that what you're taking from that? Is that what you're taking from that? You are 10.
Did you notice in his dream he was younger?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Prince points out, oh, okay. So there's a lot of Greek mythology parallels in this show, actually, but a lot of it won't show up until a couple episodes later.
To be fair, we did just yeet our main character into the underworld.
The pits of hell, yes.
Like, they straight up said it was a door to the underworld, though. So I'm like, you gonna meet a 3-headed dog down there? We gonna have someone follow him out, but only if he doesn't look around?
Yep.
Like, which ones are we going with here? Is he going to find half of Theseus's ass on a chair? Like, what are we doing?
Quick side note, which y'all have been great on. We're only covering 2 episodes at a time. So thank you so much for no spoilers ahead of where we're at. We're only up to episode 4. Yep. So we're kind of like either watch along with us or, look back and see what happens there. But so far, everybody's doing a great job. But it's been nice to button them because it is very emotional. And then seeing him get upset when Boji was told, like, when he couldn't find Kage. And I'm like, and then also, speaking of Kage, oh my gosh, literally cutting his body to get out of
hardcore.
Nope.
Also, he's kind of got like hammer space in there. I mean, we knew that when we saw his mom take out the Wolverine claws, but like you've got some item storage going on in there. And yeah, just again, hardcore.
Yes.
And I appreciate Bebin kind of seeing the way the wind is blowing and going, you sure? You're going to be his friend? You're going to back him up? Okay, here's your task. Because it also, like, either way, it gets Kage out of the way. So either he is going to go do something helpful if he means what he says, or he is at least out of the castle and we don't have to worry about an assassination attempt.
I was thinking that too, that I'm like,
we worry about it from Doma.
That he's out of the castle, that then like his brother won't be as obsessed because he's not just walking around. Tengen says, yeah, the beginning episodes plant seeds for later, especially now that I'm viewing again with you all. Yay! Well, thanks for watching again. Giga Derek says we're going to have Disney's Hades down there.
Someone's head is on
You know,
fire.
that's a villain that I really do like. He is a very cool villain.
The problem is the voice really makes that villain, and unfortunately the voice actor is not great. Not a great human being. So we're going to walk away from that one. It's like, yes, I love the joke, but also there's a level of anymore with that.
That branches off the depending on if separating art from artists, and yes, there are times where you can, other times where it's like, because then you only think about them. But yes,
yeah, you can't really claim death of the author when the person making money from it is still alive. So, speaking of which, the Tolkien estate just flipped a table today, and I can't wait to see how that goes down. But that'll be fun. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
It's current events. But yeah, I will be interested to see if we have any Greek myths in the Underworld. I'll be interested to see how things shake out there.
As it's starting out this way.
I'm just thinking, like we mentioned Pandora's box. I'm like, okay, who do we have in the Underworld? We have Sisyphus, we have Tantalus, we have I can't remember who was with him. We have the guy who was with Theseus when they decided they were going to kidnap Persephone, and we have Theseus, and Theseus got out because Hercules literally tore him off of the seat he was stuck on. Hence the joke about, is he going to find half of Theseus's ass on a seat?
Well, I just kind of wonder if either something can go in after him to save him, or something come up to save him, or whatever he lands in that will save him somehow.
Yeah.
Because it does seem like other people and creatures are like he's a curiosity to them. So I think they're not as quick to like kill him, murder him, or eat him. You know, they're like, oh, you're different, huh?
Yeah.
You know, and then he generally surprises them. Like even our woodsy, our king of the woods, madman, because he also at first was like, okay, cool. Are you my sacrifice? And then I was like, run!
That's the point where it's like, oh, no.
Okay, wait. Actually, side note on that, which I'm like, it's not really that big of a deal, but I did notice it this time watching. It is a little odd that characters talk to him, talk to Boji, and he's not actually looking at them, because I'm like, he wouldn't know you're saying anything. They generally do a really good job of that, but there's just been a couple times where like if somebody's behind him, I'm like, he shouldn't be able to hear you.
Yeah,
you need to be in front of him.
I think there are some points where you just kind of gotta hand wave it a little bit, where we're not going to show the scene right afterwards where Boji turns around and he has to repeat himself. Like, no, we're just
it's like, wait, what?
You just gotta roll. You gotta roll with the magic. And again, the Soul Hoover. I keep calling it that. When it showed up, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the Nightwalker! It's Princess Mononoke. It's the Nightwalker." And like, no, it's not the Nightwalker. It's the Soul Hoover. It hoovers up all of the souls of the dead and sacrificed animals, and then spits them back out to be more animals. It is the circle of life.
And that idea of, for me to live, I have to kill something, which is also like, ooh, we are getting deep on this show. It seems all cute, and then it's like
I said, it's very Miyazaki. Miyazaki does not pull punches when it comes to having deep messages in something that, generally speaking, is all ages. I'm not going to be like aimed at children, because like I'd argue the only one that was straight up aimed at children was Totoro. And the only one that
Ponyo.
And Ponyo, yes.
Ponyo was very young, which I'm like, I generally love all of them. I've seen almost all of them, but that was one that I'm like,
Ponyo struck me as more Disney than anything else.
Arrietty is also very all ages too.
And I would argue that Mononoke is the only one that was aimed
for
adults, and everything else is like general audience, the whole family. Like, it's not necessarily aimed at kids, but it's not something that is going to scar them for life. Like, Spirited Away definitely had some moments, but it wasn't Princess Mononoke, which was
that one's
my first Miyazaki film,
and like body horror too. So
I get
I remember watching my 16th birthday. I had a sleepover and I showed my friends Princess Mononoke.
And that is how I saw it. Cool. One of my friends did that. It was the only part that she felt the need to pause and explain was the part about sometimes wolves chew their foods for the young ones who can't chew yet. And I'm like, no, I knew that. Hit play again. It's
Um,
just, yeah, baby's first Miyazaki was a trip.
Nice. Prince says a whole soul Hoover King of the Woods scene was is so interesting to me and kind of a departure from what we normally see. Yeah, I do really appreciate that about this show, that even if it is a standard fairy tale elements, like it's a, there's conflict with the king and a family member and he needs to go on a quest, like there's the regular pillars of storytelling, but then there's these just weird but so incredibly interesting random things that come out of nowhere that are like,
Yeah.
all right, okay, I'm
This was
invested.
just like a circle of life thing. And again, we have these weird Mononoke was my first as well. Thank you, Giga Derek. We're vibing tonight.
Yes.
We just have these so much of these episodes. Like there's some overarching thread, but it seemed like a lot of these two sets of episodes was 4-minute vignettes strung together with that overarching thread. And it's a little wild, but I am expecting, I'm not necessarily expecting like the King of the Mountain or the Soul Hoover themselves to show up again, but I am expecting the concept, the idea, what he learned to come back.
Yes. I think he's constantly learning and he's an intelligent enough character that these will expand upon what he knows. Like, for example, falling asleep and losing his bag. He's naive. How would he know these things that people are going to steal? He's never had to look for anything. But now I think he's like, oh, I also did like that. He's like, don't give me your excuses. You are our responsibility too. Like your mistakes are our responsibility. And I was like, ooh. And I think that's going to like play into it as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and Doma has been training him and help raise him. And again, just that whole bit like, oh yeah, your signing's good enough that you can probably sign to the prince now. It's like, oh, do you think he'd be okay with that? And I'm like, oh, buddy. Show went out of the way to be like, and this is their bond. And then it's like, welp.
Yeah.
Yeet.
It's like,
bye.
Yep.
Just, we're basically gods.
Yes, this too. Boji sitting so politely watching the kids. It's a typo. Kids puppet show was so adorable.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cute.
And I mean, he can't hear what's happening, but it's still just like, oh, it's a show. Oh, no, he can see the never mind.
Also, I was concerned when Boji was sitting in his windowsill. I'm like, dude, someone else is going to be like, bloop.
Yeet.
And I'm like, you're deaf. You need to know what's behind you. You can't be sitting there and like, eh. So I think, not that he needs to become like a more jaded person and not trust anybody, but I'm glad that he's learning as he goes along. All right.
I'm glad he's learned that following a butterfly into the woods leads to falling into a punji pit.
It's like, careful, dude. Come on.
These are some buckwild life lessons.
Anything else with Ranking of Kings before we move into our next segment?
It's a great show. It is just so completely wild. Again, normally if a show upended my understanding of the world every 10 minutes like clockwork, I'd be pretty pissed off. But this show does it so well and so charmingly and so organically, especially the flashbacks, because all those bits, all that characterization is already there. And then the flashback is just like, and this is why. And you're like, oh my God, it makes so much sense now.
And they come in, the flashbacks do come in so well, like the mom sitting in bed going like, damn it, my behavior wasn't good. And then reflecting on it, I'm like, I believe that. That's a thought process. Like, yes, I follow along with that so well. So.
And then, like, we need to know how Doma feels about Boji, so we understand why it's such an issue when he pushes him into the underworld. Like, hey, buddy, you okay?
Yeah.
And of course, Boji's not a Disney villain, so I'm pretty sure falling from a high place isn't going to kill him.
Probably not. And of course, Boji's going to be the good boy that he is, and he's going to forgive Doma and be like,
maybe.
Well, I think he will, but we'll see.
We'll see.
He'll be like, you stay, I forgive you, but I don't want to hang out with you.
It's like, I forgive you? Bye.
My gosh, I'm totally blanking what it was, but I saw something recently where it was the like someone betrayed a group, and I'm like, okay, I wouldn't want them dead, but I'm not going to hang out with them anymore.
Yeah, no.
Like, no, you don't want something bad to happen to them, but I would be like, no, you're not allowed in the group anymore of like, you are dangerous and unpredictable. But yeah, so speaking of that, we'll be recommending some things you should be checking out, and we'll continue Ranking of Kings next week.
Dangerous, unpredictable things you should check out.
Or avoid, which we haven't had those too much, but we will let you know.
To be fair, one of my recs in the Christmas episode was
Yep.
avoid the OG, watch the
Yep.
MSD.
Yeah. Did you have anything right away, or shall I go?
I have spent this past week mainlining cooking reality TV competitions because that is what I go back to when I just kind of want to put something on and I don't have to be paying a ton of attention, and I can occasionally look up and go, God damn, I want someone to cook like that for me. Where can I get that? So we talked about Zimbo's Just Desserts. Next Level Chef. Mm-hmm. It's on Hulu. It's a Gordon Ramsay production. And it is a competition with 15 chefs. 5 are professional, 5 are home cooks, and 5 are, they call them social media chefs. So people who cook on Twitch or TikTok or, the social medias. Mm-hmm. And he also brings in Chef Naisha and Chef Blaze. I think I remember those correctly. I'm bad at this. If it's not Gordon Ramsay, I don't remember.
You're all
and them. It's a cooking competition show where the chefs assemble their own teams. They're like, no, these are the people I want to mentor. And then also there's 3 different kitchens. There's an amazing one, an okay one, and a bad one. And you can only get so many ingredients. Like there's a lot of like fun competition rules in this and some randomization.
Yeah.
But part of the reason I like it so much is that the chefs stay in the kitchens with their cooks during the cook time. And it is an active mentorship.
Okay.
It's like, oh, tell me what you're doing. Okay. Yeah. Well, what about this? Well, what if tried it? Like they can't say, don't do that. Or they can't say, they can't like tell them what they should do. Make them think about it
though. Be like,
exactly.
You sure you want to use it?
Those kind of guiding questions.
Yes.
So it's really fun. It's really great. I enjoy it quite a bit. I have the Hulu with the ads, so it's the same ads every time. Because my only problem with it was so many ads, but I enjoyed it. Tengen, I'm glad that you're enjoying Cutthroat Kitchen. Cutthroat Kitchen is weird, beautiful, chaotic energy, and I love it. This one has more. I like it because of the mentoring vibes. I like it because it's a little more friendly. It's still very much a competition show, but also the cooks are amazing. And just watching it, I don't know if standards and practices got a hold of this, or I don't know if it's something in the contract or what, but I'm pretty sure Gordon can only say fuck once per episode. And they bleep it when he does. But I'm just watching this going, there are moments where you can see him visibly catch himself and then say fricking or something like that. And it's like, did someone talk to you? Is this in the contract because it's on this network? Like, what is this? Because he and there it is. It's like a PG-13 movie. He gets to say fuck once every 60 minutes. But the contestants swear a lot. And this is where the what the fuck is Twitch clip came from. And I enjoyed it very much. And then when I ran out of that, because there's only 1 season so far, it's a new show, I went back to MasterChef Junior. Because it's MasterChef and it's the cooking competition show and it's Gordon Ramsay. But they're all between the ages of 8 and 12.
Oh, so that's precious.
It's much nicer. It's very precious. It's a little wild.
And also, it's like so much nicer to them too. Like the little.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And kids say some beautifully buck wild shit. Just, there is stuff that happens on that show that would never happen with the adults. And it is absolutely beautiful.
There's a clip going around on Instagram where it's a mom talking to her daughter in the backseat and like, oh, you're so funny. You're just a funny little noodle. And the girl's like, can you tell me about human sacrifices? And the mom's all, what? And so going to the description, The mom was like, yes, after some careful investigation, we found out it's a reference within Moana where it's like a gate is only opened because of a human sacrifice. And I'm like, yes, this is kids say the darndest things of like, what? Why do you want to know? But that's funny.
Just the
Nice.
MasterChef Junior. It's always funny. There's always some messy challenges. There's stuff falling from the ceiling. It's Gordon Ramsay gets pied in the face more than once. There's some beautiful, ridiculous stuff, and these kids are adorable.
Aww.
And that's
a good age.
Also on Hulu. Nice. It's very, very cute. And then they roll out these dishes, and you're like, I can't cook like that now. How? You are 8, child. How did you do this?
I was looking up. I'm like, what did I watch this week? I'm like, oh yes, okay. I like to write my stuff down with a planner. Well, one, I finished season 2 of Fleabag, so I do highly recommend that show. Season 1 is like its own contained thing, and it's character growth in season 2, but it makes it a different tone. It is very adult humor, so this is definitely 18 and over because it's a lot about sex and relationships, and but also like other things like dealing with grief, losing family members, or work issues. So it's very funny and very self-aware and good observational humor, which I like that kind of humor where it's pointing out things that we all know and understand in life, and like.
Yeah.
So that one's over on Amazon. I haven't watched this newest episode yet, but I got all caught up on Marvelous Miss Maisel. I think I said that last time. Go check that out.
Yeah.
And then over on Netflix, a very different genre thing of switching is Fame Game, which is a new Indian drama starring a super famous Bollywood actress. And it's very self-reflective on like the entertainment industry there, because it's about a famous actress who goes missing, and it's like, well, what happened? So it's a very crime drama show, like what happened. And so it's the present day time, and then it goes to flashbacks of like 6 months ago, 5 months ago, and I'm not done yet. I have a few more episodes to go, because I'm like, it's probably gonna just lead right up to what happened. But so far it's really interesting, and it does get a bit dark. So I mean, if you like crime drama stuff, you'll probably be fine. But maybe if that's a little too heavy for you, it might be a little heavy, because there's also subject matters of like suicide, affairs, self-identity of queerness, and all that kind of all rolled into it. I'm like, this is really interesting. And I like that they call out things of that industry. So if you are into any of that, go check out Fame Game. It's over on Netflix. And I think they have it definitely is subtitled, and I'm pretty sure they have it dubbed as well. So in case you want to watch it dubbed, it is available to you, which is cool, because I know, like, you know, the anime were like, great, you have the option of that, but they don't always have it on the live action. So a lot of our voice actor people that we know and love, they do some of the live action dubs. So yeah, that's nice that it's available for people. So
dubbing is dubbing, y'all.
Yes.
I say I work post-production and dubbing, like there are so many things in our file server. Yeah. It's like all these, just scrolling through all these properties going, I didn't know we had that one. I don't know what that one is. Yeah, that's a fun title. Huh. So like, dubbing is not just anime.
This is true. So yeah, those are some of the things we'd like to recommend. Gigaderic did want to give a shout out of 7, Scrap Princess, and Princess Mononoke, which, yes, I haven't seen Scrap Princess, but all good things on the other ones. So I'll have to look up Scrap Princess, because that was going to possibly one of the other ones we covered, but I'm like, we went with Ranking of Kings, which I'm so glad, because I'm like, this one's been really good. So
I'm going to go ahead and drop that mid-2000s Crispin Freeman dub in your lap.
Oh, 2000s and 90s anime dubs.
Yeah. I want to say early 2000s is when they were kind of trying to figure out where. I think the Scrap Princess dub is a little beyond that, when they started figuring out, like, okay, anime is not necessarily all for kids. We're dealing with some slightly more serious subject matter here. Yeah. Let's go.
Nice.
But yeah, no, very good time. Highly recommended. And if you want something spooky, but still fun, I can't go through this without recommending a YouTube channel. I have so many. I love them all. There's a YouTube channel called Ryan Hollinger. That's his name, and that's also the channel. And he does videos about horror movies and horror properties. And sometimes it's a deep analysis of themes or execution. Sometimes it's a comparison between an original and a remake. Sometimes it's just his own opinions about why he really liked this movie or why he really didn't like this other movie. Sometimes he just talks about the Scooby-Doo movies for a while. So I think he's Irish. He's either Irish or Welsh. He's got an accent and is a good one. It's very nice to listen to. And he's also done the only piece of media on Cannibal Holocaust that I can stand to watch. Because Cannibal Holocaust is a rough one, folks. It's a lot.
Well, tying back to swearing and an accent, I was going to say that's why I also like where you could say shite. And that sounds like less of saying shit. And someone's like, do you say that because you're Irish? I'm like, no, I just like how it sounds it sounds less of a harsh swear word if you're trying to be more. I may have nothing against swear words, but there are certain times where you're like, let's have that little tone down just a little bit, depending on what audience and who you're with. But I was going to say, speaking of, let's go.
To finish that. If you want good listening, a good sense of humor, some great horror movie analysis, and a lot of videos about lesser known properties or older properties, he's got a video about this movie called Dog Soldiers, which is about werewolves, and it's absolutely fucking fascinating. Ryan Hollinger, check it out on YouTube. He does very good stuff. There is no wrong place to start with him. They're all
That's
great.
Always good when you go to a channel and you're like, I don't know where to start. Yeah.
It's definitely one of those like, okay, this is definitely an older video versus a newer video, but there's not like a huge change in style like there is in Defunct Land, where you can really tell this is his earlier stuff. This is his later, more refined stuff.
Which I would say, quick shout out to content creators, anybody starting or anybody in it, keep your old stuff. I saw a post that was kind of like, keep that stuff, your early projects, because then that shows everybody else your progress. And it makes it less daunting, because when you see a curated channel that's everything so perfect, it can be like deflating for those who want to start. And yes, that's not your responsibility, but I love seeing the growth of a content creator when I've gone to like a YouTube channel of like, I remember their first videos and now they're so polished. And I'm like, I loved it then too. And it's just even better. So don't be discouraged if your early content isn't exactly what you want it to be. You got to start somewhere, and you can just keep improving and keep learning.
Some of the oldest videos on my channel were filmed with the webcam on my laptop and an overhead kitchen light. They don't look great, but they're there.
Hey, you made it. So, that's the first and biggest, hardest step. So, yes.
Thank you, Rooster Teeth. You got me started.
Yay. Well, we're glad you got started.
Yeah.
And continuing where people can find more of your stuff online.
You can follow me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. That is over her. Again, the YouTube channel's on a little bit of a break right now. We're still trying to figure out recording schedule and spoons and what to do with things. Like 2020 and 2021 existing kind of threw off the Emperor's Groove. So we're still trying to figure that out and get that back. We have yet to take a heartwarming trip with a llama, but it's on the list. For the most part, I'm active on Instagram. I'm more active on Twitter, and Twitter is a mishmash of everything. But if you want to hear opinions on what I've been watching, what I've been talking about, all that fun shit, mostly the Twitter in terms of activity. But it's all this branding.
All right. There. Yes. I'm disappearing into the ether.
Your turn now.
Yes. Y'all can find me online over this way. Yes. Carrie D Lane. That's Karidlane. I was going to say I picked my Go Classic here, our Astro Boy. And I'm like, I do like the classic vibe of Boji now. Like first I was a little bit like, I don't know, but now I'm digging it.
The art style is also very Miyazaki. That's
that too. And thank you again to Crunchyroll. I'm super excited to show these to you all. And then go check out Jujutsu Kaisen coming out March 18th. Go get your tickets. They're available where you can get subbed or dubbed. And stay tuned for our review and maybe some interviews down the way. So stay tuned. And Thank you for being here. Give the video a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button. And again, if you watch this later, no problem. Comment down below your thoughts on all the different things we talked about.
Also,
All right.
tell your friends.
Yes, tell your friends to come join the party.
Yeah.
Thank you. There's definitely a lot of you that keep coming back, and we love it. Tell your friends.
You.
Bring your friends. We love you. Thank you.
There is plenty of room at the bar.
Yes.
There are plenty of drinks.
Yes.
It's a good time.
Plenty of seats. It's open for you. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Take
Alrighty.
care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.